A written introduction. This is Dr. Patrick Bailey coming up. He's the president of the Institute of New Energy, and he's been doing that for the past 10 years. He graduated from the University of California at Berkeley with a Bachelor of Science in Engineering Physics, later obtained his PhD from MIT in nuclear engineering. He's been a captain in the U.S. Air Force, a project manager for EPRI in nuclear reactor safety, and a group engineer in advanced power systems for a large aerospace company. He's got a solid foot in the conventional engineering world and a solid foot in the fringe areas or emerging sciences world, and he's striving to build the bridge in between. And he says that he's from California, so watch out. Here's Dr. Patrick Bailey.
One, two, three, four, testing. Well, thank you. We're supposed to start out with a joke to have humor. So I give you a welcome from California, the land of fruits and nuts. And California is always on the outer fringe of doing things, so I guess being born and raised there, it allows me to do that. My one great claim to fame in growing up in California is we live next to Disneyland in a city called Orange, Orange County. And we got picked up a lot when I was in high school for having too many D&E tickets at Disneyland because a friend of mine's dad used to work there. So getting picked up by the Disneyland security police 2 or 3 times is, I guess, my claim to fame in growing up. On a serious note, when I first started thinking what to say here on this topic, socio-economic impact of free energy devices, I didn't really want to talk about what would happen to a country or the United States if we had the devices. I wanted to talk more about what would happen in inserting the devices. And I want to do this from a real serious point of view because I really want to contribute to this area. And I think it's a reason why I'm here and came back and whatever. So I'm really glad you're all here to support this effort and to make this happen. And thanks Steve Ellswick and other volunteers here for making the conference happen. And we have to network and cross-network and support each other to continue all this research to make it happen. Otherwise it won't, and you'll see why. I was really nervous and fearful, very, nervous about the subjects that I'm going to raise in my presentation. I was kind of told to put things certain in the presentation I normally wouldn't do, and it turns out that they've all been covered. So we're on good ground, and I think I can wrap things up and give a good summary of what we've got, where we are, what's in the way, and how to get around it. Okay, so we're going to start going real fast. I would like to say now that Harvey and anybody else that wants to take pictures, do it now of me, and don't take pictures of the slides because you want to create a really good DVD show for other people that couldn't come here to Sandy, Utah. So with that, I'm going to push the magic button. It works. Hi guys and gals at the conference, and especially out there in DVD land, and especially everybody out in alphabet soup land, particularly the CIA and the NSA. I'm not kidding. This is their future too, and this is very important material. Just because you've been brainwashed up to now doesn't mean you have to continue to be so. There's a copy of this video. It's available at www.teslatech.info. And if you can pass that on to your friends, you get more DVDs freely, or not freely, but they cost about $30 available from that center. Here's the outline of my talk. I'm going to go a little fast because we did add a speaker, but we won't miss anything. We're first going to have some background intro on me, then the real title of this paper. We're going to look at the state of the art, where we are, what is the game we're playing, what is the playground in which we are playing in, what are the devices that I want to present to you today, and what are the solutions for inserting this technology. So, okay, I'm the president for the Institute for New Energy. I got a bachelor's in UC Berkeley, PhD at MIT, was a captain at the Air Force in Albuquerque. I was on staff at Los Alamos Scientific Laboratory, project manager for EPRI, and a group engineer in power systems at an aerospace company, and original co-founder of the INE when it was first formed around 1991 with Toby Grotz and Hal Fox. I'm the editor for New Energy News, the guy that's late with your issues. I'm going to catch up very soon. And the webmaster for the INE website, which is also a little bit late in fixing up, and I'll get that updated shortly. My other interests are advanced energy conversion systems, the Rosicrucian order, all the stuff about ancient Egypt, that temple in San Jose. I was interested in the Masons. I wanted to find out, hey, are they really taking over the world? So I joined up in 1991. I'm a past master. York Rite Mason. I'm currently a 32nd degree Scottish Rite Mason, member of the Golden State College, and a life member of the Royal Order of Scotland. I helped the 3 anti-gravity news conferences. I volunteered for about 8 years in a row running the center camera at the International UFO Congress. I helped start, and I'm always helping out as a volunteer, at the Bay Area UFO Expo, the Conspiracy Conference. My favorite movie is Meetings with Remarkable Men that you all have to see. It's required. I like the material from the Ascended Masters Teaching Foundation. And there's a book called The Way of the Peaceful Warrior by Dan Millman, talking about the University of California gymnastics team the year after I left. Well, I'm the Pat in the book. And I played rugby union football for 10 years, which I think trained me for dealing with society. Here's a picture in 1999 of me as master of Los Altos Lodge, which is near Stanford, Palo Alto, California. And our motto for our officers that year was, "Who's afraid of Y2K?" We were right. Also, I have a certificate as a Vulcan master, and a certificate in the attainment and culinar, but I regress. That's a joke for those of you that didn't know.
Live long and prosper.
Yeah. Are you an alien? Absolutely. The INE addresses for the websites are still up and running. The thing to notice about the websites is that the file names are all in capital letters. Some people have problems with that, but subjects, authors, DB guide, this is the database index. It's always www.padrac.com/, which means here comes the folder, INE/ and then a file name. All those websites are up and running. We do have a new email address, which is written on the board for you, but for those on the video, it's no, it's not. Yes, the email address is institutenewenergy@sbcglobal.net. The old email address of anything@padrac.com has gone away. More things about on the INE website. We have fabulous facts. We have a copy of the secrecy order, which is on file INE 13. Paul Brown wrote a letter when he was being actively suppressed by the U.S. government. That is on file 17, INE 17. And somebody posted a complete copy of the ElectroGravitation system book that was published in 1956. It disappeared from the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base Laboratory. So I grabbed that file, and it's posted as file INE 24. Here's a picture of the INE website, and it was last updated in 2003. The real issue here was to put everything we could get our hands on cold fusion, plus any other devices, and incorporate them as text files, no pictures. This was created 5-6 years ago. And to make the links point to all those files. We did a really good job, and then it became, I did a really good job, and my focus is on the devices database. Let's look at all the devices, make a summary page for each one. This is who's looking at it, this is what they found, this is what's going on, and keep track. So I really like what Sterling Allen is doing, and I would like to merge all of our stuff into their new website. So this presentation is my resume to the CIA, my distilled thoughts, my recommendations, and the references for everything that I present will be put onto the INE website probably in about a week or so. So this is what I think. Now, what I want to do is have no interruptions because we are being videotaped. We can take pictures later since nobody has yet. We have a full presentation. I'd like to have all the questions at the end, so don't interrupt. I got to go fast, and I need to remember everything I've planned to say. So with that, I think we can keep the camera on the screen, but I'll stand here in the light. If we could shift the light over toward me so the edge of the light is on the edge of the podium here, it'll keep it more off the screen. Okay, so I want to make this very sincere, impactful, meaningful. Some of you may get upset, but you'll understand why as we go along. And one last thing, if it's not fun, I won't do it. And if I have to do it, I'll make it fun. And hopefully the computer will work. John is here. We ready? Everybody agreed?
It's time to start.
Blue Man Group. Free energy devices and over unity machines. Well, at this conference, we're kind of preaching to the choir. What we're really talking about is new forms of potential energy. You draw a circle around what you're looking at, and if it looks like more energy is coming out than in, it just means there's a new source of potential energy. We don't want to go into ego games or fights. So people are usually well conversant with wind, water, solar, chemical, and nuclear potential energy, right? We understand those. But hey, don't forget that the use of water to create electricity was absolute heresy. That was perpetual motion about 110 years ago. Tesla broke that barrier. So what we're interested in now, electromagnetic, crystal, lunar, space, and maybe something coming from a source in space or the vibrational fabric of space, which some people put under the label of the black sun. The alternate title of this talk is Bullies on the Playground, and keep that in mind. When you were in school and you wanted to go on the swings and somebody pushed you away and said, no, you can't do that, that's where they learned to do this. This is all about bullies on the playground. So we have a bottom line for those that might have to leave early. There's a bottom line to this whole presentation. What is it? Well, it's from Walt Disney's best-selling movie, The Lion King, right? Everybody probably has seen this. I recommend that you see it. The whole purpose of my talk is in the first 3 words. Remember what that was? And here's the Walt Disney Company making this big movie, right? They're going to tell you the secrets of life and the circle of life. What are the first 3 words? There's an inventor looking around for the next free energy device.
Life's not fair, is it?
Life's not fair. Too bad. Now you know. The state of the art can be pretty much paraphrased in what Yoda said to Luke, and we have this at the bottom of the INE website from day 1. You have to choose. Whenever you do something, you make a choice. There's no thinking. It's all intention. You choose to do something. You do or do not. There's no try. So if you have a problem with that, if you're angry about that, then I suggest this poem from D.H. Lawrence entitled Self-Pity. I never saw a wild thing sorry for itself. A small bird will drop frozen dead from a bough without ever having felt sorry for itself. That's used twice in the movie G.I. Jane. So if you want reference to that, go see the movie. If you want the watered-down version, get it from Blockbuster because Blockbuster edits their movies. Okay, another bottom line. Should I patent my device? Are the U.S. patent guys good guys or bad guys? Well, the key phrase is without a working model, but there's another impediment with the U.S. Patent Office. Here's a website, answers.com/topic/history-of-perpetual-motion-machines, which is a really good website. And way up at the top, it says that the U.S. Patent Office requires a working model. I can't see it from this angle, but it's somewhere up near the top there. And they will not do anything that says perpetual motion. Well, hell, if you come up with a new source of potential energy, crystal power from Jupiter or whatever on a certain frequency, they're going to say it's perpetual motion. So don't you say that. But you have to have a working model to get into that section of the U.S. Patent Office. Without a working model, or without a working model, that phrase, well, who tests it? What rules are followed within the Patent Office? Like Joe Newman, he says, oh, I got this great device and it works and everything, and I got these investors. He gives it to the Patent Office. They test it, but he says they did it wrong. So we need to do the testing as per the inventor's instructions. So who reviews it, and then the patent office has another level that I want to remind everybody about. It's the military review committee, that when a U.S. patent is submitted, the review committee looks at all of the patents, and if any one of those military agencies feels that patent can be used for national security, big words, it's removed and it's classified. When it's classified, you get nothing. You have to send it in or you get imprisoned and you pay them money. And I'll show you the secrecy order in a minute. So I made this little phrase, sorry Mulder, the truth ain't out there because we can't see it. And here's a little article just about Joe Newman with an interview. You can get this from either Joe or other places. Now, I don't know if his machine really works or not, but the point is that he submitted it to the U.S. Patent Office and they keep testing it. He kept saying it's not working properly. Here's a copy of the secrecy order. This is Title 35, United States Code, 1952, sections 181 to 188. You submit a patent, they send you this. It's classified. Pack it up, send it in, and we're going to put you in jail. All right? So who's working for who? What happened to America? What happened to people helping the country of America, the land of the free and the home of the brave, and they help you back? Well, we need the truth. Well, truth. What is truth? Is truth unchanging law? We both have truths. Are mine the same as yours? Remember that line? Crucify him, crucify. What do you mean? You would crucify your king? We have no king but Caesar. Does that look familiar today? So there's this one degree that I participate in with the York Rite Masons. It's called the Illustrious Order of the Red Cross. And its purpose is to teach the almighty force and importance of truth. So I apologize to any Masons that might see this and say, hey, you're revealing part of this degree. I will say no, because all of the words spoken here that you will see are in either the Bible or the Apocrypha. It's out there in the holy writings for all religions that believe in the law of Moses. We'll leave it at that. So we want to teach in the immemorial discussion about truth.
From time immemorial, it has been the custom among the sovereigns of this realm, upon occasions like the present, to propose certain topics for consideration and to bestow princely gifts upon the one found wisest in the discussion. In conformity to that custom, I propose the following question, with assurance that he who gives the most satisfactory answer will be suitably rewarded.
Which is the greatest? The strength of wine, the power of the king, or the influence of woman? Prince Chancellor, what say you?
Sovereign Master, it is the opinion of your Chancellor that the strength of wine is the greatest.
Prince Master of the Palace, what is your opinion?
Sovereign Master, it is the opinion of your Prince Master of the Palace that the king is the greatest!
Prince Rebel, have you an opinion to offer?
Sovereign Master, in my humble opinion, the influence of woman is greater than the strength of wine or the power of the king. But in all things truth beareth away the victory.
Sayest thou that truth beareth away the victory? Prince Rebel, that is an important addition you have made to our question, and it shall have consideration. Now, princes and rulers, let the discussion begin.
So this last year was the first time that I did the part of the king in the chair. So the question is, which is greater? Wine, the king, meaning the establishment, fill in the blank, or the power of the truth?
And now, Prince Rebel, we will hear the reasons for your opinion. and for the important addition you have made to our question.
O princes and rulers, the force of wine is not to be denied, neither is that of the king, which unites so many men into one common bond of allegiance. But the supremacy of woman is yet above these. For kings are but the gifts of women, and they are also the mothers of those that cultivate our vineyards. Women have the power to make us abandon our very country and relations, and many times to forget the best friend we have in the world, and to forsake all other comforts to live and die with them. But with all this, neither they, nor wine, nor kings are comparable to the almighty force of truth. As for all other things, they are mortal and transient, but truth alone is unchangeable and everlasting. The benefits we receive from it are subject to no variations or vicissitudes of time or fortune. In her judgment is no unrighteousness, and she is the strength, wisdom, power, and majesty of all ages. Blessed be the God of truth.
Great is truth, and mighty above all things. Blessed be the God of truth. Prince of Rebel, ask what thou wilt, and it shall be given thee, for thou art found wisest among thy companions.
So at this point, Zerubbabel asks the king a favor which determines the course of most of the Bibles. And if you have questions about that, we can do it later. So truth is greater than the power of the king, but it certainly does not seem to be so in the United States of America Corporation, which is what this is. I think it needs to be told for all proposed advanced energy devices. It needs to be told about the government and our society today. This is required if we're going to move forward. So, great is truth. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. You've all heard that? But first, it will piss you off. My intention, I have to say this now, is that hopefully every single one of you will be upset about something I present. So just realize going in that I know that, and that I want you to overcome that. So what do we know? The earth is flat, stones do not fall from the sky, machines can't fly, there's no water on the moon, atomic fission cannot work, cold fusion cells cannot work, and you can't make a difference. You're just a slave. So this is the learning scale, starting down at the bottom. First, people are very unconscious, like those people over at Kmart right now, as far as free energy devices. And then there's kind of a gap, and all of a sudden there's a shock, and they come into a fear. Boom, oh, what's that? Then there's rage, then there's anger. And after anger, they start, well, you can't, that's anti-this, anti-that, you can't talk about that. But then after they shut up about being anti-this and that, they start listening, they'll be quiet. Then they start asking questions, then they have interest, start coming to conferences like this, like the ones that you're going to go to soon. And then after interest, and they get all their dominoes aligned, they come into acceptance, maybe send in some dues, and then they get active support, like the volunteers and the people putting on this conference. So, where we're going to be today, for most people, is going from unconsciousness to anger in a lot of things. So my objective is to make you angry, not just a little bit, on a couple of things, maybe, for you to see things clearly, and for you to go out and make a difference. This is not entertainment, this is to inspire you to go out and choose to confront and make things happen. So the game, easy, to insert advanced energy conversion devices into the United States of America and to the world's socio-economic system. That's the game, and to get rewarded for that. I'd like to get a little money for my work without getting shut down, classified, taken over, arrested, imprisoned, or killed, because after all, you could be considered a terrorist. And this is life. This is how it is. I don't care what you think. It's not fair, and hey, it's just business. And Your device, Bedini's motor, doesn't work. Yeah, don't pay attention to that. I'm building it in Brazil. It's just bullies on the playground. So when you hear all this stuff about anti-cold fusion from MIT or the US Patent Office, who's doing the cold fusion work internationally? You got to look around and see who was funded last year for $1 million a year, a country, to do cold fusion work. Suppressed. Who's been suppressed? Chauncey Starr, the president and founder of EPRI. He had the first patent for it was called nuclear reactor, 1945, instantly classified. He got it declassified in 1947 or so, and went on to build the light water nuclear reactors that we all know and love today, where their spent fuel rods are stored in pools of water because people are too wimpy to figure out to do with nuclear waste. Hal Fox has a friend, Ken McNeil has a friend, Stefan Marinoff was suppressed. Paul Brown, I came to realize at this conference, was not killed at 2 a.m., was not intentionally killed 2 a.m. drag racing. That was a real accident. He was not suppressed at that time. He was suppressed earlier after he published a paper about his resonant nuclear battery at my conference in 1991 in Boston, since I ran the IECEC as technical program chairman at the time. He had bought some chemical solvent for use of cleaning the top of your counter in the laboratory. So agents came to his laboratory after learning about his patent on how you use beta decay from strontium-90 to put into a resonant circuit so you're getting free energy out of radioactive decay. And they arrested him, boxed everything up, took it to Washington, D.C., and he never got it back. He went to jail for that. And of course, Eugene Malov, I think, was intentionally suppressed. And I'd like to give a tribute to Gene, also an MIT graduate. The most important thing to learn about Gene is, regardless of what you heard, what I heard was that he was killed by an intruder with a baseball bat in his house, and the body was found on the front lawn. And that the latest, police say that Malov, or that the suspected killer, did not act alone. There always has to be a fall guy. There always has to be somebody to blame. Okay, enough of that. What are the devices? Well, these are my devices. This is my list, non-proprietary. These all look workable to me. And as fate would have it, I don't think I'm covering too much on material that's already presented. There's a lot of other devices out there. There are many, many devices that have been classified. Where are they? In a safe. Army, Navy, Coast Guard, Air Force. They need to be accessed and cross-referenced. And that's one of the purposes why I say this is a resume to the CIA. Here's a device list I'd like to talk about. Top of my list is the Davis tidal turbine. We'll get back to that. Bedini free energy converter, kind of like Sterling Allen's presentation this morning. Electric car rechargers, Schauberger. Electrostatic generators, Hendershot, Walter Russell, Hans Kohler. The Finsrud perpetual motion machine, nobody's mentioned that yet. That's on display in a museum in Norway. Overbalancing wheels, those are cool. T. Henry Murray, we have Murray King's book here summarizing that. Radioisotopic batteries would be Paul Brown, and of course there's others. So we got these devices. What do we want to do at a conference? Come on, you guys, what do you want to do? You want to talk about them, to express ideas, have theories? Oh, equations. We need lots and lots of equations, especially if they're based on Einstein's theory of relativity and all that Lorentz garbage, which I can't stand. Do we need more books? Do we need working demos? What do you think we need? Anybody? What? I want to see it work on the table. We'll figure out the theory later, okay? I don't care about what you think. I don't care about the equations. I want to see it work. Thanks, Toby Keith. He has a store on the second level of Harrah's in Las Vegas, and I found his DVD. Okay, well, what about the Politnikov device? My Russian's terrible. High RPM motors, vortex magnetic fields, lifters, all that good stuff. From my point of view, the Institute of New Energy does not care about devices that lose weight. There's a real good paper on this at the file nen_8_9_1.html. The reason is, are UFOs an anti-gravity friend or foes? For advanced energy research, I say that we don't need that, that we will get in a lot of trouble for that It's my personal opinion, Earth-built, Earth-flown UFOs are here now being used, flying saucers, other platforms, to run drugs. That's it. I don't want to get up against the international drug cartel, neither do you. But if you're standing on a freeway bridge and you see all these cars going by, like looking up in the sky, you see all these cars going by, there's lots of different nationalities, lots of different people, lots of different agendas, right? Keep that in mind. Just because you see one thing flying in the sky doesn't mean that's everybody's intention from the sky. So is there any advanced technology out there that we can say, hey, look, they can do that, why can't we? Well, there seems to be, if you look for it. There's a whole bunch of books by David Childress at Adventures Unlimited Press, Technology of the Gods, the Incredible Machines of the Ancients. If I can make this work, right? That's a good book. These devices, what do those do? Lift stones, probably. It's my personal opinion that the stones in the pyramid had to be floated. Ancient India technologies, Vimana aircraft from Sanskrit, translated Sanskrit writings showing how the people in India used heated metal with swirling liquid mercury to have flying saucers to drive the elephants of Alexander the Great's army back into Alexander. Nothing new. Ancient Egyptian technologies representing the Grand Gallery and the Great Pyramid, the sonic resonators to have the whole thing be a resonance machine to create proper frequencies, probably for the kind of ascension techniques that Vernon Groth was talking about in his talk yesterday, whose video I also heartily recommend. Then there's all the talk about, well, did Germany have technologies? In the 30s, flying saucers in Germany and Austria as late as 1938, 1939. Is that true? When a friend of mine told me this at the first I&E conference at the Stanley Hotel there in Rocky Mountain National Park, I thought he was absolutely crazy. But now there's all kinds of declassified documents to allude that, yeah, maybe they did. Then there we have also pictures from Switzerland and other places where they say people have been visiting. And this is one Billy Meyer photo from that book that is on a hill here, and I've talked to Wendell Stephen, I've talked to Lee Elders, I've talked to people that have been there, I've talked to the people that have analyzed the picture. That ain't fake. You can have fakes and true photos together. That doesn't mean they're all fake. This one is not fake. Other than that, I don't know what it means. So be careful. We got simple answers for simple minds. You have to ASK. You have to ask, seek, knock, right? It's in the book. Cross-check, verify, be your own judge. There's a lot of people pushing information to sell books, politically, particularly fanatic religious groups. And you have to be your own judge and be careful. So, this video is going to run about 2 minutes, I think. This is Masters of the Stars videotape. It was released, it's hard to read. That's the title, Masters of the Stars, released in 1994. And this is footage taken from Japanese cameras outside of Mexico City, of course, capital of Mexico. Mexico City in the summer of 1992. 12 o'clock at night in a base camp in the lower hills of the volcano.
Oh, over there.
Maybe we can turn off that light for this. They're running up the hill to try and photograph
Look at. Take it off the left. Look at the left. You see it? You see?
Watch very carefully. You'll see it go to an equilateral triangle with a center point.
They were breathtaking and bold, and they were back.
Now, okay, good. So we can turn the light back on. So that was in 1992, some sort of triangular platform, or obviously a flock of geese. German technology, there's a really good video called UFO Secrets of the Third Reich. Part of it is probably true. I think this is a compilation myself of a German tank gun stuck on the bottom of a disc. Doesn't mean that it actually flies. This is a really good book that just came out in 2004, last year. Reich of the Black Sun, which talks a lot about some of the declassified documents from East Germany and Russia. What happened really with Operation Paperclip? Maybe rocket technology was the booby prize, and that Wernher von Braun was actually doing saucer development in New Mexico between 1939 and 1945. That's alluded to in these other books, Cosmic Top Secret by William Hamilton. And have we had contact with ET races? I mean, if somebody's out there, if that was not a CIA drug ship, if we've had contact already, what's really going on? Well, this is a guy, Philip Kraft, C-R-A-P-F, Kraft, that had been working, I think, for about 15 years as a major journalist at the Los Angeles Times newspaper, that says he was taken to a station that's orbiting on the far side of the moon by a group called the Verdant, that they want to see Earth people grow up and have these advanced technologies. They're ready for open contact, and they chose him to be the spokesman. So he came out with this book. And then he came out with the second book called The Challenge of Contact. How come they're not contacting the UN? How come they're not sitting down with the president? So he was invited as a speaker to Vicky Jack's Bay Area UFO Expo in September 2001 to speak on that the Verdant are ready to come out of the open. They're ready to announce, hey, we want to come down and help you guys. And 9/11 happened that Wednesday, just before the conference. And I met this guy down in the bar, the restaurant area, and he was drinking, I think, gin and tonic, eating buffalo wings, and saying, oh, God, you guys really blew it. He says, the Verdant took me back. They explained to me, don't call us. We'll call you when you're ready. Their chief complaint is that a very small group of people are running the entire United States and therefore the entire world. Most people are asleep and you're not ready for it. So until you grow up, we ain't talking to you. So this may be the condition we're in. We're saying, hey, we want to get channeled information. We want Moroni to give me the answer to the Bedini motor. We want this and that. We want higher knowledge from higher intelligence. And you know what the bottom line from their point of view is fix up your own planet, take care of your families, take care of the people that are poor that need food. The planet's dying, the plankton are dying, and you're watching CNN. So have we already been given technology? This is a good movie of what happens if somebody who did land on the White House lawn. Remember, he comes down, takes off his helmet, immediately gets shot. But what happens if we do get this advanced technology and use it the wrong way? A good way to think of this is discovering fire while you're living in a treehouse. Yeah, good idea. Let's build a great big resonant unit in Salt Lake City and use the salt deposits to resonate and create energy to man the city until there's the earthquake that destroys the whole town. Let's look for the negative side effects of what we do. So this movie is about what happens to the Krell when they allow their thoughts to become real. Really good movie, Forbidden Planet. So are there other information sources out there from which we can draw down knowledge? If we drink the right water, eat the right food, go to the right church, maybe we can somehow get channeled the proper way to do a Bedini motor or a cold fusion cell. This is a diagram from the Book of Knowledge, The Keys of Enoch, by Dr. James Hurtak, who's a personal friend of mine, and we have dinner together once in a while. And the idea is what we think of God as way up here. Below that, for lack of a better word, you have offices of angels and archangels and a whole system of downflow of knowledge, similar to the Kabbalah. The Kabbalah has the Ein Sof, the Ein and the Ein Sof, and then down through, all the way down to, I forget the other words, Kether, and the one in the middle, which in this diagram is represented there. So where are we on this diagram? We're down here in the lower physical, half unconscious state trying to get better. But if we do ask, if we can tune in, if we can reach up and grab other information sources somehow, like the Pharaoh of Egypt with the snake on his hat, that was for reaching out and grabbing knowledge. Receiving knowledge, not from CNN. Here's something that's happening, perhaps, that has knowledge in it. If two circles overlap, I think it's the ratio of the areas is a white note on the piano. And if the two circles do not overlap, it's the ratio of the diameters makes a white note on the piano. You've probably all seen this crop formation. Notice this is not a straight line. This goes to the center of that circle. So people make that into a triangle and give you lots of disinformation. This could be communication, or it could be where to live in the next 5 years. I don't know, but it is a serious topic. So it seems to me we're all sitting around, going to school, watching TV, having this great time, doing nothing, and then finally, they come, we're saved, maybe. What's really more important here, Earth humans or the environment? We're killing the structure in which we live, and the oil companies don't give a damn. We do. So we need to forge ahead now with our presentation. Thank you. The Hunt for Zero Point is a very good book and summarizes a lot of the advanced energy concepts as well as some of the anti-gravity concepts. Nick Cook did a really good job of writing that book. I got a copy at a UFO conference that was first released a couple of years ago in Britain, and I sat down for 3 nights straight and got my wife Nancy very angry at me because I typed up the index that Nick uses in his U.S. edition. So everything in that book I've looked at a couple of times. That's a really good book. Other good books, Gene Manning's Coming Energy Revolution. And this is a very interesting book, Occult Science. William Line lives out of a post office box in New Mexico, and he has 3 books, and I highly recommend them. William was the guy that found in a junk dealer somewhere in New Mexico a certain kind of compass that would only be used on a lifting platform with some sort of advanced energy device flying it, assuming that, with a Nazi swastika on it in the early 40s. He's got a lot of things to say, and he's generally suppressed by media and everybody else. William Line in New Mexico. Of course, we have Maury King in the audience. Had to put up one of Maury's books, and I highly recommend any of Maury's books, Quest for Zero Point Energy. And Tom Vallone is a good clearinghouse, as well as TeslaTech, for all kinds of books and information on the free energy, advanced energy concepts that are coming along. Really want to support Sterling Allen in his push for a website for people to post things on. freeenergyupdates.com, or look for Sterling Allen on the internet. It's what? freeenergynews.com. Thank you, Sterling. We also have other videos that have been made. I'm even referenced as a contributor to that, even though I'm not on it. I like to be the guy behind the curtain that makes it happen. If you want to see some UFO stuff, there's a little toy, UFO Box 119A, Kensington, New Mexico, 88042. And we had the little toy up last night and got it to work fairly well. But you can have 5 minutes or more of a little magnet spinning and levitating above another magnet that looks like a donut. So it makes a little anti-gravity well. So, moving along, how can we insert the technology into the society? Well, I don't know. How about if we patent it? Well, that leads to classification and secret, right? Well, we can patent it with international public release. Like one of Hal Fox's compatriots, I think it was Ken Shoulders, just did that. But that could lead to copies, Japan, China, Ireland, Alabama, whatever, and turf fighting for the funding. Everybody's going to fight about international patents. Well, we could work within the system and have some sort of classified organization with CIA oversight. I mean, the CIA already has the legal definition to do anything legally, comma, or illegally, period. It's in the 1947 CIA charter. You can look it up. I've got a copy. Or you can work outside the system. I know, we'll just sell it to a foreign power. Hey, you know, Iraq, well, you can't do that anymore. How about Iran or Saudi Arabia? Or you can release it to everybody else all at once, which is Vernon's idea from yesterday. But the problem there is you might not get much money feedback. The idea, if I do a patent, I'll get rich. Well, if you give it away to everybody, you won't get any money feedback. I really like what Sterling Allen said this morning. If you want free energy, it has to be freely given. We have to work together, support each other, forget about the money. Money's like number 7 on my list. Health, friends, support. Don't need money. Okay, the playground. So where are we? What's really going on, and what are the rules today? I'm not talking about what you think. I'm talking about how it is. You're the kid. The safety patrol is out there with the rules. And what happens if you get caught breaking the rules? Okay, you get arrested, you get thrown in jail. Who are you going to call? No, you're not going to call Ghostbusters. I think inventors these days are like this cartoon. Everybody's all excited. Yeah, let's go do it. And the patent office or the government or somebody that's really in the know says, yeah, let's go, let's go. It's a running into the wall contest. Blam! Okay, you win. How many inventors do you know that have splattered up against the wall? So, to understand where we go, we got to know where we are and how we got here. So I wanted to give a little short history of the United States as it stands today. First, there was a thing called America, which was a star, a vision, and out of America came America, with the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. After that came the United States of America Corporation, which was incorporated in the late 1800s. Then there was laws passed in 1917 that said if you're not born in America, you're an enemy of the state. In 1933, the law was changed. All citizens of the United States of America corporations are enemies of the state. It's true. The United States of America Corporation went bankrupt in March 1933. It's a bankrupt corporation. The Federal Reserve Bank took over, which is a private bank owned by, I think, 12 different independent private banks, mostly based in Europe. Has nothing to do with the United States government, the United States Treasury. They borrow money and they have to pay interest. That's a free energy machine. Truly. We borrow the money, we have to pay the money back and give them interest. We have to make interest payments. We have been and still are in a state of national emergency. From that, we get the War and Emergency Powers Act. That led to all this stuff about national security, especially after the Roswell crash, the birth of the CIA and NSA and everything else. And now, today, we have Homeland Security and the Patriot Act. Aren't we great? We have Patriot Act 1, we have Patriot Act 2, and they're supposed to go away. But you don't know that people are secretly working to make those permanent now, today. Harry Figge's book in 1995 talked about the amount of money that could be raised within the United States of America Corporation to pay back the Federal Reserve Bank just for this year's interest. And it's a hockey stick. And he predicted, since this book was written then, that not enough money would be able to be generated to pay back interest in 1995. So not only are we bankrupt, but we can't even make the payments. This is starting to look like Brazil. And this is in 1995. So the playground today is you are an enemy of the federal government, legally. You have a strawman corporation, which is your name in all capital letters. It was on your birth certificate. You have a tin man, which is your social security number, TIN, tax identification number. And we are talking about the Wizard of Oz, the Wizard of Ounces. The Federal Reserve is a private bank based in Europe, and your labor backs these pieces of paper. And as long as paper can buy gold, it's all controlled. They can kill you legally. If you want to take control of your own strawman corporation, you have to become of age. You have to have the courage to take your strawman corporation, your Tin Man identification number, follow the road where the gold went to the Emerald Castle, and confront the Wizard of Oz, file your UCC-1 form, and you can take control of that corporation. The guy that wrote the screenplay for the movie The Wizard of Oz was an international banker. It's true. The Fed, you can read all about how the fractional banking system works in a really good book by Eustace Mullins. There's another book that just came out recently, Thieves in the Temple. It's all about paper money, fiat currency, money not backed by gold. But hey, on the other side, it's not so bad. It's here, it's working. And if you want money, you just go get it. They print it every day. Truly, you can go bankrupt just like Trump, millions and millions of dollars, who cares? So it seems to be, it's working. It's what's here now, so it's what we've got. So all of these, what do you mean it's legal? What do you mean you can kill you legally? We know now that Pearl Harbor was known in advance. Here's a woman holding a baby that was shot by the government officials in Ruby Ridge. No trial, no indictments. We know all about Waco, the people there. We know that the fires were not started internally. Oklahoma City bombing, a fertilizer bomb in the street doesn't do that. Also consider the fact that it's a government building and a repository of federal evidence going to trial. It's the inverse of robbing a bank. You just destroy the evidence and pick up any drugs that happen to be in the building later. World Trade Center bombing in 1993, for those in the know, it had nothing to do with Arabs or anything like that. TWA 800, did you know that there was a flight that's supposed to take off before TWA 800 that went away from the gate and then came back to the gate? So TWA 800 took that plane's spot in the sky. And when you fly out of New York City to Europe, you have to go through a tube in the sky. It's called Betty or something. And so the people on the ground that launched the missile thought that that plane was the one that went back to the gate. That other plane went to another country in the Middle East. There's a lot on chemtrails. People are dying in Oregon because of stuff that's sprayed in the sky. Southern California took a vote to outlaw fluoride. We don't want fluoride. Southern California. Los Angeles, no fluoride, no fluoride. Government said, too bad, drink it. And then we have the 9/11 murders that we'll talk about in a minute, and this is all legal. It's happening. It's bullies on the playground. And you think you're going to get your free energy device given to you through the patent office? So there's a good section here in The Man with the Golden Gun.
Yet you make guns for fingerless hoodlums, bullets for assassins.
Mr. Bond, bullets do not kill. It is the finger that pulls the trigger.
Exactly.
Well, bullets do not kill, only the finger that pulls the trigger. The United States manufactures weapons. It's okay, we don't pull the trigger. CIA has a legal ability to import drugs. All that stuff about Mena, Arkansas, it's legal. They don't pull the trigger. No problem. Above the Law movie talks about CIA involvement in Southeast Asia. We talked about corporations and why your name is in all capital letters on your driver's license and the UCC-1 form. This is all legal and being done today. So I've got this video that I couldn't find, so I made these slides. On what date did President Bush Sr., about 10 years ago, announced a joint session of Congress and the Senate that we now have a new world order? Remember that? With the Nazi symbols on the wall of the auditorium building and everything else? That's the straw with a hatchet coming out. It's on the back of the old U.S. dime. What date did we have what was that exact date of that announcement? September 11th, 1991. 10 years to the day. Must have been an accident. So do you guys know about Building 7? The Twin Towers were right next to you, and airplane hits this one, airplane hits that one. Building 7's way over here. Silverstein was the lease manager for the entire complex. And there's a really good organization called 911truth.org and a video called Unanswered Questions. There's also information that I put up on the just pretend it's the INE website, and instead of saying I&E, you say books on 9/11. And I summarized a lot of information out of a lot of books. But it's very important. Jim Marrs was asked to write a book. He wrote the definitive book on the Kennedy assassination. So he was commissioned by HarperCollins Books in New York City to write a book on what really happened on 9/11. He wrote it, he called it The War on Freedom. It was approved by the lower echelons, he was paid, and the book was canceled by management because it had one chapter on a particular political or religious group and how they had foreknowledge, proven foreknowledge. The book was scrapped and canceled. A friend of mine picked up his contract. He republished the material in the title Inside Job. He said that's the only title that really applies. That's his older book, The War on Freedom, which is now unavailable. I have a copy. I like to collect books that are banned in this country. And there's a videotape called Painful Deceptions, which I think you ought to see.
FEMA claims that they cannot understand how Building 7 collapsed. But perhaps you and I can figure it out by watching the videos of it collapsing. Incidentally, this video is lousy because it comes from people who recorded the TV news. As with the security video that shows Flight 77 crashing into the Pentagon, nobody wants to provide good quality video of Building 7 as it collapses. At the top of Building 7 is a rectangular penthouse that contains air conditioning and other equipment. If you recall, the fires were on the lower floors, not near the roof. However, the penthouse is the first part of the building to collapse. How could the fires cause damage to the penthouse without damaging all the floors in between?
Oops. No airplane.
Here's a different view of the collapse.
This was hours after the Twin Towers.
And another view? When fires cause steel buildings to crumble, do they normally produce this much dust? Well, since fire has never caused a steel building to crumble before, I guess we'll never know if this dust is typical. The person who took this next video decided to point his camera at Building 7 at just the right moment. If you've never seen a demolition of an old building, there's a DVD called What a Blast that shows how buildings are demolished. Notice that the dust comes from the base of the building, just as with Building 7. Also, the building falls down very quickly because the pieces are free-falling. They often cause the middle of the building to fall first in order to pull the outer walls inward. PBS has a documentary called America Rebuilds, in which Larry Silverstein, the landlord of Building 7, explains what happened.
I remember getting a call from the fire department commander telling me that they were not sure they were going to be able to contain the fire. And I said, we've had such terrible loss of life. Maybe the smartest thing to do is pull it. And they made that decision to pull, and then we watched the building collapse.
Which is more believable? FEMA claiming they have no idea what happened to Building 7? Or Silverstein claiming that the fire department demolished the building rather than bother putting out the fires, and without giving the tenants the opportunity to remove their documents and equipment?
So if they pulled the building using dynamite charges, they had to be planted in advance. When were they put there? Who put them there? And how come Building 7 looks so much like the Twin Towers? And how come there was a law that all Boeing 767s had to have remote control flight override systems installed against American pilot wishes? I'm just telling you what the bullies are doing on the playground. So there's lots of books, videotapes, DVDs available. And I think the most important reports for this group are what happened in Germany and Russia at the end of World War II, especially about the Hans Kohler devices. And as far as the people that are doing deceptions and forcing lies down your throat on the TV every day, hopefully there will be retribution, because everybody supposedly follows the laws of Moses, not some other book. I really like a quote in the book, The Stranger in the Strange Land, because we just can't go off and insert technology, advanced technology into a culture. Goodness alone is never enough. A hard, cold wisdom is required too for goodness to accomplish good. You gotta apply it wisely. Goodness without wisdom invariably accomplishes evil. So Vernon, thank you for your friendship with Valentine Michael Smith. If you need to know about the politics of oil, hey, just read the Idiot's Guide. It's all there. The oil peak has come and gone, guys. About 5 years ago, it cost more to get it out of the ground, and the reserves are not being found fast enough as supply increases. Japan wants more. China wants a whole lot more. There's a bank war going on for the oil. This is not 2002 MIT Magazine of Innovation, which really poo-poos cold fusion and any advanced, and all they say is, oh, there's a problem, but nobody has any solutions. And of course, if you read Brzezinski's book, The Grand Chessboard, released in 1972, it's all about America taking over the world, being the supreme power, and putting everybody else basically into servitude to run the world, and taking over all of the oil reserves. I think Iran is next. I give it 2 months from now. On Deadly Ground movie with Steven Seagal, hopefully Steven will be a major contributor to the conference efforts and also to the new websites that are coming up with Sterling Allen. Everybody should play the last 10 minutes of this movie. It has a real good summary of how it's good business for American businesses to dump toxic waste and all that kind of stuff, just because you have not put together laws, because you haven't chosen to do so. Wall Street, really good movie. What's going to solve the problem? Here's one answer.
In the last 7 deals that I've been involved with, there were 2.5 million stockholders who have made a pre-tax profit of $12 billion. Thank you. I am not a destroyer of companies. I am a liberator of them.
Can you make it go again?
In the last 7 deals that I've been involved with, there were 2.5 million stockholders who have made a pre-tax profit of $12 billion. Thank you. I am not a destroyer of companies. I am a liberator of them. You mark my words, will not only save Teldar paper, but that other malfunctioning corporation called the USA. Thank you very much.
Okay, so the idea of greed, of what kind of lifestyle do you want to have? You have to have more greed for that, more greed for love and working together than greed for money. This is what we're facing. Okay, so devices. Davis tidal turbine. Vertical turbines put in the ocean, proven technology. St. Lawrence Seaway, off of Florida. Blue Energy website, blueenergy.com. The idea is to sink these in 1 or 2 units for 5 or 10 kilowatts. The idea is to have a turbine whose cross-section on the blade is the same as an airplane wing. Doesn't matter which way the water goes, it'll turn the same way, produce energy. Proven technology, it's there ready now. They had a deal with the Philippines to put in a fence of these things. See the fence? Instead of having the Philippines build a nuclear reactor, and for some reason it didn't go through. I would like to build a fence. Somebody write me a check. I will go down and put a fence all along the Gold Coast in front of Surfers Paradise and off of south of Brisbane, Australia, to keep out the sharks and have the best surfing place in the world and provide all the energy for the casinos. And it's a topless beach. Those are the priorities in that order. Bedini free energy converter, there was a paper in 1991. There was a wonderful paper today. The problem with the things before was that they had the motorcycle batteries would explode. So hopefully that'll get over with. And there's the circuit. The idea is the generator's turning around and the magnets go by here. There's a pickup coil and the energy somehow goes back into the battery. It doesn't give you free energy, this machine. It makes the battery run longer so it looks like it's a freebie, right? So Tom Bearden says, well, here's the secret to free energy, guys. You grab off on the free energy and you use it. And then you grab off on the free energy and you use it. And the reason I put this slide up is because that a battery cannot discharge and charge at the same time. It has to be different. So I'm glad to see Sterling Allen, he's got two batteries down here. One's charging, one's discharging. So maybe you can charge one up while the other one's going down and then flip-flop, right? So why not put it into a Toyota Prius electric cars? There's lots of electric cars now. The idea, form a company for electric car kits, retrofit kits. There's a Toyota Prius. Wow, I sat in one. I really like them, but I'm too big. The ceiling is too low for me. The idea is you have an electric motor, and then it's if the RPM gets high enough, then the gasoline motor cuts in, and it has one battery. Well, how about if we make it two batteries, put in a China motor developed by a friend of mine that's being used now in China that also works at high torque. You have one battery run the motor, stick in a little recharging unit to recharge the other battery, and then have the gasoline engine as a backup. We could do retrofits on the electric cars. I think that's a great idea. Schogberger, we've heard about before with Living Water, his ability to float silver oak logs, some kind of heavy logs, and he made a lot of money at that. And he has this idea for a wind turbine. And the idea is you make these specially shaped grooves coming out of a disc so that the air is sucked down, it's pushed out and cooled, which means it's compressed and pulls in more air. So the thing will, unless it's controlled, it will fly apart. Free running turbine in the air to hopefully which you could put a generator. Schauberger with possibly sacred geometry designs. Electrostatic generators, they're here now. That's free energy. Case closed. There's a book, Poggendorf, with the electrostatic generators. 50 volts per meter between the surface of the Earth and the atmosphere. Put up a balloon, run a Poggendorf motor. There it is. 1/10 of a horsepower. Let's make bigger ones, better ones. And just put things up in the air. Egyptian obelisks always came in twos. And the iron or whatever, granite, the granite is high quartz content. What were those tuning forks really doing? And of course, we stole one. Poggendorf electrostatic motors, free energy here now. It's not going to replace a nuclear plant. Swiss ML converter we've talked about. Electrostatic charges. I want to call your attention to these devices, little horseshoe magnets. We'll get back to those in a minute. And here's Maternita's answer to Don Kelly. He says, why don't you guys release this to the world? Electrostatic power generation 5 kilowatt unit. He says, basically mankind cannot tolerate it. I don't want to read it. To surprise the present mankind with a free energy device would be like putting oil on a fire. He's basically saying the world has to get it together before they'll release any of their information. Hendershot, counterwound basket weave coil, energy out of the oscillating field of the Earth, but only Hendershot could do it. And that's his circuit, and you just see antennas, and a bunch of coupled inductors. Resonance, it's all about resonance. But if we pull off too much energy from the Earth, are we going to cause an earthquake? I don't know. Another resonant device talked about in Reich of the Black Sun is a Schaeffler device. And then, of course, we have Walter Russell, which is the idea of using coils and counterwound coils. And here's a half of the coil that Toby has. And in September 10th, 1961, the Russells announced that they had the secret to free energy, and they sent it off to the president. That's over 40 years ago. What happened? I didn't see that on CNN. But the thing here is that these coils are wound on conical pyramids of a certain design in a certain 108 degrees, which comes out of a pentagram. The Masons and the Scottish Rite Mason, no, the Royal Order, no, Scotland Masons in the Grand Lodge of Scotland have very enamored with the pentagram. I went to visit the Grand Lodge of England in the sidewalk right outside the front door, this big, a big pentagram in the concrete. Maybe sacred geometry has to be used in these devices. And then we have the report of Hans Kohler with his device, which was declassified by the British government. And this is what I wanted to tell you. These are permanent magnets with the electricity, where is it? Going into the permanent magnet, going through the permanent magnet, coming out, and then wrapping around the permanent magnet, and then going out. Now, I didn't take any courses on the characteristics of electrical circuits with electricity, especially high frequency, going through magnets. Did you? Some people think that this device by Hans Kohler ran German U-boats. Magnets, potential energy sources. The Finsrud perpetual motion machine has a track, like a railroad track, on a table with a rolling ball, 2-inch pound steel ball, and the steel ball just goes around the track in the museum. I keep asking people now for 10 years, show me a video. Nobody's ever given it. It's sitting there in the museum. Perpetual motion, in your face. Okay, talk later. I got this off the internet. What happens if you put pebbles in a wheel like this? I was talking to Maury King about this. Where did the light go? There we go. So over on this side, the weights are on this side of the wheel. On this side, the weights are on that side of the wheel. Looks to me like it's going to turn. How come you guys don't have one of these in your backyard? Remember, wind is a force field. It's a push, just like gravity. And now we've got anemometers and windmills. So why can't we do the same thing with gravity? What's the problem? Maury, I'll skip Maury altogether. Radioisotope batteries, because I'm running out of time. Paul Brown putting strontium-90 on a silver plate inside of a resonant circuit to extract the energy from the strontium-90. He was thinking of making batteries that can go into a laptop computer that would last 5 years. In comparison to that, remember that General Electric bought the patent for the flash bulb from Robert Beck, and then added carbon dioxide so that when you bought a flash bulb, it would go once and then burn out. So who's really working for who? Got Paul Brown's writings. I've got this in my bag, a summary of free energy and perpetual motion researchers and their machines. This is what we need on Sterling Allen's website, is a page for every device. Blacklight Power, interesting that their logo has a side view of the sacred pyramid, Giza Plateau, 1 phi square root of phi, where phi is 1 plus square root of 5 over 2. Blacklight Power was pretty much decimated by the U.S. Patent Office because they challenge 1930 physics. So you got to confront them. Cold fusion, I made this happen. SRI report in 1994 to a conference. I was the guy that ran the session, and I got them to present this paper. They said, hey, we did 3 cold fusion experiments, 2 didn't work, the other one worked, we don't know why, thank you very much. 1994. But actually Thermocore in 1992 was doing cold fusion in a garbage can. Cold fusion works. You need to anneal the palladium metal in an ammonia atmosphere, NH4. Preload the palladium sites. Okay, so it works, palladium type A metal. Japan was given the wrong metal. Duh. It's like having a car and tuning it not the right place so it doesn't work. Radioactive decay, we talked about that. Other devices are in Atlantis Rising magazine. Gene Manning has 10 devices in there. And here's a quick list of other organizations. Most of them you really know. There's freeenergynews.com, Academy of Future Sciences, AFS.org with Jim Hurtak is very good. I'm going to send the American Physical Society a check for life membership so they can't kick me out, and I'm going to cause lots of trouble. And I've already been with the American Nuclear Society. Future funding, Hal Fox has a lot of ideas. And insert the technology. I'd like to see us form a covert department within the government with CIA oversight that can gather information from all of the different classified areas. So the solution is to form development groups, have trade secrets, not U.S. patents, form these classified liaisons and try to get the classified information released, obtain funding, and use perceived threats to get these new devices out. I've got to go real fast here. If you patent it, it will be classified. Trade secrets, that's Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola doesn't have a patent, and the new technology will replace the oil. The war on terrorism is here now. If you just give somebody, if you get money for a new energy device, you will be classified as a terrorist, okay? That's the way it is. So who is the enemy in corporate America? It's everybody else. You might be better off to work in the system. So the idea is to have all of these military cross-referencing, CIA oversight, have that happen on one hand, and on the other hand, have the individual inventors give it to everybody at the same time. Like what Vernon was talking about, if you just freely give away the technology, freely obtained, freely given away, not everybody is going to do it in their backyard. You will have cash flow. But we have to do this ourselves and to make it work. So I want to thank everybody on this list to save time, and especially everybody in the audience and those watching this video, that it's us rebels that have got to stand up and choose to make something happen. You don't think about choosing, you do it, especially when you're afraid. Go out and make it happen. So support Sterling and everything he's doing. I'm just going backwards there, okay. Acknowledgements. So that's the end of my talk, and maybe the best thing to do is for people to see me outside if they'd like to talk about any of this, because we do have another speaker coming up.
Thank you, Patrick Bailey. Patrick, I have to say, you genuinely compressed a lot of information in a very little time frame.